I think the biggest problem here is that we do not have accountability and transparency. Pardon is a very important process in our justice system because it supplements justice with compassion. The idea is for convicts to have a second chance to be made a new man or new woman, provided that person is willing, uh, the person is willing to show remorse and undertake acts of redemption. But in this case, we do not know what had changed between the time that Najib was convicted, that is in August 2022, and today. What had changed that we think that Najib is a new man, or instead that he insists on his original position that he has been a victim of selective prosecution or mistrial. So if he has not changed, but he is now getting a pardon, that would be sending a very wrong message that he is a victim, and the moral basis of this Madani government would be called into questions because people would say this is a government uh, that is established on at least partly on the mistrial of Najib. People putting aside the complex process and procedure, people may ask and say, could this possibly happen if Mahathir was still in power? And there is a strong ground among Malaysians who want to see corrupt politicians to be punished. Whatever the justifications or uh, explanation that government could give, unless this is matched by the willingness of Najib to show remorse and undertake redemption, people would blame this government. Anwar would lose his credential to be a reformist. Anwar would lose his credential as a reformist.
You're saying, in other words, it's only Najib that can save Anwar's government from losing, reputation over this decision because only he can decide whether he wants to show remorse or not, and only his remorse can help save lah.
Yes, because if we look at it, let's say we look at Korea. Korea sent 4 ex-presidents to jail. They all served several years before they got pardoned. And before they got pardoned, they all apologized. That's first thing. One of the ex-president, Rotegu, actually paid back the fine all the way for over 10, nearly 15 years. So, and people would accept that and say, okay, let's move forward. But if you have a convict who insists that he is innocent, that's basically challenging the common sense of ordinary people. People would not read it for whatever reason, especially when there's no transparency and accountability on what's the ground of Najib's uh, petition and what's the ground that have been prepared by the Attorney General, the minister in charge of Federal Territory, and other appointed members of the Pardon Board uh, on his petition. Without all this, ordinary people would just come to a conclusion that if you are powerful enough, you can commit crime and there's no consequences. The question we really need to ask is not just about that his uh, jail sentence has been halved, meaning that he would be able to walk free about 2.5 years from now. But more importantly, also, that why has he been given a reduction of fine as much as 160 million? How big is 160 million? If we're going to buy a house of 200,000, that amount can allow 800 families to get a new house. If we're going to use that money to sponsor a student to undertake a degree course of 30,000, we can fund 5,333 students. So people have to ask, why is it that Najib be why is it that Najib's get a New Year ang pao, Chinese New Year ang pao of 160 million Malaysian ringgit?
Would
Say
there be
again.
a difference if he gets full pardon?
If he gets full pardon, I would expect that people will go to the street. Because it would be so unacceptable that for this government to delay for 2 days. If there's nothing unusual, the pardon board should have released a statement on Monday.
Will the pardon board decisions strengthen UMNO and Zahid's position?
Completely not. If you have spoken to ordinary Malays people who are not affiliated to any party, many of them would tell you one reason they reject UMNO is because of Najib, because of corruptions. Now, people spread this myth, two myths, that Najib would be able to help UMNO to regain Malay support. The first myth is that during his time, he gave a lot of handouts. So many people were thankful to him. By that logic, more people are thankful to Muhyiddin because they gave handout more recently and at a more critical time during the MCO. Second argument is that Najib, after Najib successfully remade himself as a celebrity Bosco. Now, if that is so powerful, why didn't the Malay voters support UMNO in GE15, just 3 months after his imprisonment? That's the best time for them to show their support. Now, if they don't even show support for UMNO at that time, what make it possible for them to come back to UMNO when he's out? I think ordinary Malaysians, Malays especially, I think ordinary Malaysians, Malays included, when they are suffering due to inflations and so on, they would not be very happy that a corruption convict that has cost this country billions of dollars, is now given a Chinese New Year ang pao of 160 million ringgit. And they would question whether the 3 remaining cases of corruption convict Najib Razak would go on, and all the prosecution and the judiciary may have been disheartened by the decision of the pardon board. For Najib's daughter to claim that Najib and his family insist that Najib is innocent, that's a slap on the pardon board. Basically, you have a convict who doesn't believe that he has done anything wrong, and he just believes that he's entitled to cut down his jail term by half, and a big Chinese New Year ang pao worth of 160 million ringgit. Najib and his family is making the whole process a mockery. And angry voters would know who to punish 4 years down the road.